What's going on YouTube? Today we're going to be showing you how to disassemble your Glock frame. If you need help with disassembling the slide, you can just look in one of my other videos and we go over that. Some tools that you're going to need is your Glock armorer's tool or 5/32 inch punch, a pair of needle nose pliers, a pick set or a flat blade or flathead screwdriver, and sometimes it helps if you have a little flashlight. First thing you're going to do is take out your locking block pin, and on the 3-pin model it's the one above your trigger axis pin. On the 2-pin guns you won't have this, so just go ahead and skip to this next step, which is going to be knocking out your trigger axis pin. On the Glock, you always want to push your pins out from the left side of the frame to the right side of the frame, and when you reinstall them you go from right to left. So taking it apart, left to right, putting it back together, right to left. You're going to push your locking block pin out. Then we're going to push our trigger axis pin, and sometimes if you guys find it a little bit tough to push this pin out, you just lift up on the slide release or slide stop and you can jiggle it back and forth with your fingers and it should pop right out. There is no reason to use a hammer for disassembling your Glock. Next, your slide release in this case comes out. Push your trigger housing pin out in the rear. Then using your armorer's tool or punch, insert it underneath the locking block on the right side of the frame, and with gentle pressure just lift it up. Next, your trigger housing group comes out. We'll get to that in a second. To take out your slide lock, you depress the leaf spring in the front with your punch as far down as it'll go. Tip your weapon sideways and your slide release comes out. To get the leaf spring out, we're going to take one of our mini picks, go underneath the leaf spring in the front towards the front of the weapon, and that comes out. Next, we're going to take out your magazine release, and to do this I'm going to show you with the flashlight. There's a magazine relief spring which holds the release into the frame. You want to take your pick set or screwdriver and go from the left of the spring and push it towards the notch, the magazine release, and pull it back towards the rear of the gun. Try and get your pick or screwdriver as far from to the top of the release as you can. Now it's popped out. Once you have it popped out, you want to pull it towards the rear, and now your magazine release comes out. To take the spring out, go to the large end of the frame on the right side where your release came out. Take your needle nose pliers, grab the spring, and gently work the spring out. Your spring comes out. Now your frame is disassembled. Going on to your trigger bar and trigger housing. Your trigger bar simply pulls forward, rotate, and trigger bar comes off. You take your connector out by taking your armorer's tool and pushing from which would be the left of the gun towards the right of the gun. Always it's left to right. And you never want to put a screwdriver underneath your connector and pry it out. You'll chip the housing or you'll damage the connector. We will take the trigger return spring out. And now we will take our ejector off. And push the ejector from the rear until you hear a little snap. And take your needle nose pliers. Firmly grip your extractor in the front. And that comes off. Now you have completely disassembled your Glock frame. And we'll see you next time on our third installment of my modifications of the Glock pistol. And remember, an armed society is a polite society.